Go. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining the recast. And I missed the last two. I had to cancel one. My apologies. And then I missed one last week. And I'm not going to miss one again because Jacqueline Stewart was so good in my role. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job in running these recasts because she was that outstanding. So thank you, Jacqueline, for doing that. I'm going to talk about something near and dear to my heart today with somebody who is also near and dear to my heart. My new friend, Michele Meyer-Shipp, who is the new executive director of Dress for Success. But I met Michele when she was in, I think, the space that is probably more familiar with her, and that is the corporate world. And so today we're going to talk about the role of NGOs, which Michele is leading, in trust. The interaction of NGOs and corporations as we talk about trust. I'm going to give you some of the trust data because I haven't had a chance to give it to you. And because Michele's story is so interesting, I really want to spend some time on how she went from MLB to here and what her expectations are. And I know you care a lot about a purpose-driven life, and you are in a great place to do that. So first, about the Trust Barometer. I think everyone knows, anytime Edelman talks, we have to talk about the Trust Barometer, and it's the 22nd year of it. And Michele, before I turn it over to you, let me just share with our viewing audience the key findings. I think you will find these findings affirming in a weird sort of way, because it'll make sense like why you feel so badly. Like why things just feel so hard right now. And it's in large part because of the state of the world. So top 10 findings from this year's Global Trust Barometer. One, distrust is now society's default emotion. It used to be that, people had benefit of the doubt when you had a conversation, but now as soon as we have a conversation, I immediately distrust everything that you're saying until you prove otherwise. Two, of the studied institutions, business is once again the most trusted. Government and media, 3, are seen as fueling a cycle of distrust. So it used to be that the things that media does and the things that government do lead to distrust, but there is a concept now, Michele, you and I have talked about this, that media and government are purposely doing things to disunite us. News sources are failing to fix their trust perception and their trust problem. Fake news concerns are at an all-time high. There's collapse of trust in democracies. We saw that worldwide. Societal fears are on the rise. This is, Michele, in large part why I love what you're doing, because it's against the backdrop of societal fears that we're trying to get people into business opportunities. Business needs to step up on societal issues. There's a sense that business may not be trusted, but they are damn well expected to engage and to be held accountable. Societal leadership is now a core function of business, and business is responsible for leading and breaking the cycle of distrust. So kind of a tough backdrop to operate in. And with that in mind, Michele, tell folks more about why you left MLB, why you came to Dress for Success, and how all of this sort of played into some of your decision making. And welcome, friend.
Thank you so much. And first of all, Lisa, and to my friends at Edelman, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here and honored to have this conversation. And you kind of hit on it a little bit up front, Lisa, about what I went through with navigating my career journey. And I think I had the same kind of epiphany that a lot of people had around the world as far as their careers went. Going through and living through the pandemic and watching what was happening and the impact it was having on our society, our communities, our people, and in particular the workforce, really struck me. And as a woman of color, to watch how many women fell out of the workforce, how many women were impacted disproportionately with job loss, with caregiving needs, and all sorts of things that kind of put them on the sidelines. It really hit a chord. It struck a chord with me. And I literally remember one day, kind of having this epiphany wherein I said, you know what? I have an opportunity here with my background, skills, and capabilities to go into a role that allows me to have an impact that reaches globally you know, disproportionate groups that have been marginalized, that are underrepresented, that have kind of been put on the sidelines. And it was kind of serendipitous that as I was going through my own self-awareness process around how I could have an impact, you know, as we come out of this pandemic,
Yes.
that I was approached about the Dress for Success opportunity. And it was right in my sweet spot. Women have been set back 3 decades plus in the workforce.
Right.
And we need to do everything in our power to get them reemployed and off the sidelines. So in this role, I'll be allowed to do this beyond the walls of any one organization, but for women around the world in partnership with as many organizations as would like to work with us. So I'm really excited that, you know, the passion, the purpose, and the need at this time aligned for me.
I remember when you were thinking about this and we were talking about it, and you have been in everyone. If you don't know Michele, her background is remarkable. I mean, the work that she's done, the people that she has done it for, her advice as a counselor. But you said, I feel like something's in here and I need to like speak to that. And I think so many of us did that soul searching during this pandemic, and our workplaces are now required in order to keep us to find ways for us to do it on a regular basis. So with that in mind, just for people who don't know, talk about what Dress for Success does. I don't know if you know this, but I did a Dress for Success event with my friend Amani Green right in the beginning of the pandemic. So I'm a fan, but talk about what you all do and how you do it.
Yeah, really happy to do that. So first of all, a lot of people don't realize we've been around for 25 years. This year marks our 25-year anniversary, and we're all about helping women achieve economic independence, starting with helping them secure employment and helping them get out of debt. And and this is a global organization. We have 144 chapters or affiliates, if you will, in 22 plus countries. And every woman that touches us is impacted positively. I actually was looking at some interesting stats recently that pointed out that 76% of the women that come into contact with our organization literally find jobs within 90 days. And through our financial well-being programs, literally 83% of those women find themselves out of debt in a couple of months of working with us. So we offer, a lot of people know us historically for providing clothing. So a lot of people go, oh yeah, I donate to Dress for Success. Oh yeah, I drop my clothes off at your affiliate. But we're so much more than the suit. We've absolutely moved beyond the suit to provide everything from career placement support, professional development, education, mentoring, networking, and things of that nature. It's a really robust curriculum. And again, it's offered across 144 affiliates around the world.
I'm appreciative of everything that you do. And as a woman and as a woman of color and as a leader of color, I know the importance of these support systems. And for me to have someone like you with your business background and your business acumen running an NGO gives me a sense of confidence that anything that I give, whether it is a suit or whether that it's cash, that it is well used. And you've tied together also this link, you know, we don't talk about it enough, the volume of women who fell out of the workforce during this. And the gains that our mothers have made and our grandmothers made and how they were lost in this very short period of time. And the role of NGOs to rebuild. And so when we talk about like, you know, our trust barometer, and we talk about the lack of trust, NGOs were the only organization that were not hit as desperately hard as the others. And so from your point of view, what are the things that NGOs can do to continue to garner more trust when these other institutions, business, government, and media are not?
So, you know, I think we need to stay the course and to continue what we're doing, which is to be out there in the community, providing support, real-time support on the ground to communities. So, you know, when you just touched on that, you made me think of this. You know, when I remember being in big corporate, and I've worked in some great organizations, but I remember when we tried to touch the community, the community wasn't always so quick to embrace the organization. It'd be like, well,
Mm,
we don't know about you. We're not so sure. Do you really want to support us? Or are you just trying to look good, right?
yeah,
With an NGO, our whole role is about social responsibility. That's
yes,
it. There's no agenda. And we are stepping out into the community to support the community. And our legacy and what we've done over the past 25 years speaks truth to that power.
yeah,
So what I think all of us need to do, all NGOs need to do these days is kind of double down on that effort. I mean, again, we are hopefully coming on the other side of the pandemic, and now we've got to rebuild. We've got to
yes,
reemploy. We've got to re-engage. We've got to lift up. People are hurting.
yeah,
So what can we continue to do to drive that forward? So as I start this role, and I'm very new in the role, I'm literally working with the team to get an understanding of, okay, what do our clients need right now that
yes,
would be different than what they needed 5, 10 years ago, because it is different.
yes.
And let's make sure that we understand those needs and that we meet them where they're at.
Yes. Now, as a new person in this role, I made a presentation to an association this morning on trust. And one of the questions that I got, I thought was a great one. And the person, this is a CEO of a company, and she said, if you were advising me, what would be the three things that you would do in the first 3 months of my tenure? So I'll tell you after you answer, and tell me what are the three things that you've been doing as you started? Because again, I think it is NGOs. We are looking to NGOs because again, insufficient trust in government, insufficient trust in media, insufficient trust in business, but high accountability for business. But like, what are the three things that you started or you're doing as you begin this role?
So a couple of key things. First and foremost, I need to build relationships with all of my key stakeholders. I
Yes.
need to meet, do a lot of listening and intake from my stakeholders on what's the state of play, what keeps them up at night, get
Mm,
their thoughts on what's working, what's not, what should we be doing. So I literally am on what I call now a listening tour.
right.
And that listening tour is meeting with every single member of my staff, meeting with every single member of my board of directors, meeting with my affiliates, meeting with women who we serve, touching and partnering with our corporate sponsors. So having those conversations, building those relationships, establishing trust with them in me as a leader is first and foremost. And then I actually started doing something else weeks before I started the job, which is my homework, right? So I've
Yeah.
needed to, 25 years, 144 affiliates, right? I need to understand the business because it is indeed a business. I need to
Mhm.
understand how we operate and kind of learn what's going on behind the scenes. So I've been doing a lot of that. And again, I'm also trying to, and again, I appreciate you for this today. I'm trying to also, my third thing is to get out there and let people know who we are and what we do, because unfortunately, a lot of people think that Dress for Success is just a place where you drop off your clothing.
Right.
And I really need them to understand that it's so much more, because I think together, our organization in partnership with corporate America can do great things to help regain some of this lost 3 decades that our women have had in the workplace around the globe.
Yes, I love that. And it almost mirrors, I'm with the same fabulous crew that worked with me on my presentation this morning. And so they're familiar with the conversation. And it's literally, I said the same thing, ask questions, have a hypothesis that you can test and engage partners. So let's talk about this partnership piece a little bit. And also before we leave, I want to make sure we also talk about your brand, like the brand of Dress for Success. Maybe I'll start with that. I used to do a lot of work representing NGOs, and I found that in some cases, even more so than business, your reputation and your brand is life or death.
That's right.
And because if people don't trust you,
That's right.
if they don't believe in you, they don't give. And if they don't give, you don't exist. And if you don't exist, all of those women that are depending on you for resources, for attention, for direction, for inspiration, it simply doesn't happen. And so, what are the things? So, brand reputation for an NGO is so critical. And as you are in some cases, reintroducing Dress for Success for people? Like, how do you think about the brand part of that?
So it's funny, I'm actually kind of reassessing all of that right now because I want to understand how we are evolving. You know,
Mhm.
again, the Dress for Success that was 20 years ago was not the Dress for Success for today. So
Right.
as I'm talking about the brand, I'm helping people understand that we're not just about the suit, but we do and provide services beyond the suit. It remains to be seen, and I'll probably know this at about that 90-day mark, how, if and how we will tweak and refresh our brand. You know, if people hear Dress for Success, does that elicit what we want it to elicit or not?
Right. Right.
Right? So that's something that is under exploration right now as I go through this listening tour, talk to our stakeholders and really understand what resonates, because I also appreciate that a brand needs a refresh every
Yes.
time and again.
Yeah, yeah. Because as you said, it's a 25-year-old brand, and the women that you were servicing and supporting 25 years ago have changed,
That's right.
and and our needs have changed, and our complexion has changed, you
Yes.
know, internally and externally, and so having to stay fresh with that. Now that leads me to questions about partnerships, and again, we believe that trust has to be institutional and established with all four institutions that make up civil society. So, how do you go about your partnership development with media, your partnership development with business, which is your forte, and your partnership development with government?
So I'll tell you, I think just generally, I think the easiest way to do this is to think about our organization's values and how they align to the values of the organizations with which
Mm,
we want to partner,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
you can't boil the ocean. So the way I think about this is, look, women have been set back 3 decades in the workplace.
Mm,
Our job is to get them back in the workplace. I want to align with organizations, whether they be media partners, corporate sponsors, government. I want to align with partners in those spaces who are also focused on this effort. So
mhm.
the heads of corporate social responsibility in corporations, the heads of women's organizations,
Mhm.
all of these folks, I look to see where we have that alignment and how we can put our heads together, right? And do this together. I mean, it takes a village. So
Yes.
I think about values alignment.
Yes.
And then when we identify those partners, we really sit with them and try to together be innovative around the solutions we can work on with one another.
Yeah, yeah. There is, I did a previous LinkedIn Live with these two fabulous women, and they talked about the difference of women of color and white women in the workplace. And so, those are, I would imagine, the types of issues that you also have to pay attention to because you are servicing and inspiring and supporting this wide range of women. So, how do you make sure that you are aware of what your diverse audience's needs are and in the different parts of the world in which you operate? And I don't think many people didn't know that you're a worldwide organization,
Oh,
but in
yeah.
different parts of the world, how do you determine like what needs are when people are so very different?
It's literally about having those conversations. That's why this listening tour that I'm on is so critically important. I want to talk to our women. I want to talk to women across demographic group. I want to talk to women across the regions around the world. I just before us getting together today had a conversation with my head of affiliate relations. And we literally were mapping out, okay, we're going to have small focus group discussions with our 144 region by region, right? To
Hmm.
understand, what's happening in LATAM, what's happening
Hmm.
in Asia Pac, what's happening in the EU, what's happening in Canada, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to have those conversations because I also realize that the needs and the challenges are different
Right.
across the US, across the states, and around the world. So
Yes.
we need to have those conversations so we can come up with a strategy moving forward that's broad, but can be tailored locally to
Yes.
meet the needs of the women in the communities on the ground.
Yes. You know, the other thing that strikes me about Dress for Success is you're not burdened as many other brands are on like having to pick a side. You
Yeah.
know, we have to like our trust data talks so much about the politicization of of all of any issue, there would be a debate. Like I think I have on cream and eggshell, but if we put Democrats and Republicans in the room, God knows what kind of conversation we would have, and we would not even be able to agree on that. But what you do is provide a service again to such a wide array of people, and you have avoided, and the brand has avoided really being politicized. From what I can tell, you're not perceived as being an organization for women on the left or for women on the right, but women in need.
That's
And
right.
that's a skill, and it's kind of a blessing and a gift.
Well, I'll tell you, having led diversity, equity, and inclusion for over a decade and been an employment lawyer, it is one of the perks of the job that I'm very happy to have.
Now, the last thing, I have two other things I want to ask you about. I don't know what our time looks like, but I can't see anything.
Got about 10 minutes, I think.
Oh, good. Okay. One of the other things we talked about, societal fears. People are worried about job loss. Now, you're on the other side of that because you are helping people to get jobs. But for an organization like yours, you have to recruit talent. And I think that's one of the things that you and I talked about, like when you got into this role. I should also tell people that I tried to hire Michele. I'm just going to put it out there. Like that's like for real, for real. I did try to hire Michele, but you know, there's always my future. So we'll see. Eventually I might get her. But one of the things that, you know, like how are you hiring people and how are you retaining people, particularly in a nonprofit environment? Because I know how hard it is. So people are worried about job loss, but they're also worried about like going to the right place. Another one of our data points for the research were that I think it's 56% of people make a decision about their belief in a brand, about whether they will support that brand. I think it's another 54% that makes a decision on whether they will work for a brand, depending on whether they believe in the brand. And then there's another one, maybe like 50%, about whether you will invest. And so how do you attract and keep your talent?
So it's funny you said that because I have been working on the retain part. You know, as I'm new in this role, I want people to stick around, right? So one of the first things I've done, honestly, is, and I alluded to this before, is I'm letting them know I want to hear you. I want to hear your thoughts. People want to be heard. They have opinions, they have a voice, they have perspectives, and they want to be heard. Employees are not going to stay at organizations that don't hear them, that don't give them an opportunity to thrive, and don't value what they bring. So that's why I am literally having one-on-one meetings with every single one of my employees because we're in this together. I think also employees want transparency. You have to shoot them straight. You have to engage regularly to let them know what's going on so they don't feel lost, you know, in the shuffle. And, you know, you have to hold yourself and your leadership team members accountable. So I'm all about that. And I think the other perk for me here is, again, Dress for Success Worldwide and all of our affiliates, we operate with a core sense of purpose around social responsibility for women, and purpose-driven organizations attract talent.
Yes.
So it's all of those things. And I think the final piece is, again, coming out of this pandemic, the workforce has changed, the way we work has changed. So being open to new ways of working is another way to attract and retain talent. So I'm exploring all of that right now with the team.
So this question just occurred to me while you were talking. I hadn't even thought about this, but as we at Edelman are about to begin our hybrid work approach to work, one of the things that I've noticed it with myself and others, is that people dress differently.
Yes.
Like the office wardrobe is dramatically different. I interviewed this woman yesterday, and she had on the most fabulous shoes that I would have never imagined. And she just looked amazing, but the wardrobe has changed. And so how do you, in the work that you're doing, ensure that your folks show up hip, current, appropriate, etc.? Apparently you like this answer.
You must have been in my employee town hall yesterday. Because we literally, and I hope some of my employees are watching here because they're probably laughing right now. But so first thing I'll tell you, last week I was in LA and I visited our LA hub, and I walked into the warehouse, and Leslie, I hope you're watching, but when I saw the attire that she had on the racks for our clients, I was so happy. It wasn't just the suit, the skirt, the blue, the gray. She had an assortment of clothing, everything from khakis to slacks to nice jeans, you know, to dresses to suits. So it's appreciating that, yes, the way we show up is different and being different. And just yesterday, our team had a conversation about how we want to show up. And yes, it is cool to be smart, business casual. And what does that mean? You know, we defined it, we talked about it. I sent them a couple of articles to read about what smart, dressy, business casual looks like. So that's what it's all about. And by the way, Lisa, that goes back to the brand, right? Right. How are we going to brand ourselves? How are we going to make sure we give women what they need, even by way of suiting? Because the traditional suiting is a thing of the past.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. So I'm glad we talked about it. And the other thing that when I did some work with you all, I think right before COVID, I was struck by the range that you got for women of all ages.
Yes.
You know, we can be such an ageist society. And so it's tough for me, but some of the things that I might have worn even 10 years ago, I know that I can't and shouldn't be wearing now. But you have to make that transition. But I feel like that's something that you all really get is not just the regional approach, but you get the age appropriateness. Yeah, the generational approach, which is something that all of us in workplaces are struggling with, but you all seem to have nailed that.
And it's a beautiful thing. When a woman walks into any one of our boutiques, she is met with, talked to, you know, we get to understand her style and give her an assortment of, you know, different pieces to choose from for her wardrobe and what meets her needs. And quite frankly, what meets the style of the workplace that she's trying to gain entry into.
Right. And so she walks in with that confidence of knowing that she's appropriate. She's not dated.
That's
She's reflective of a new workplace because, you know, it matters. I say this to people all the time, men and women. It matters how you show up. In the time that we have left, Michele, what are the 3 to 5 things that all of us can do to better support your organization, and in doing so, support women who are returning to the workplace, who are trying to improve their status in the workplace? And I love the fact that you didn't just talk about work, but you talked about wages, and you talked about equity, and you talked about savings and just financial security. So what are the 3 to 5 things that we can all do to help you help others?
There are so many ways. So the first way, in March, when we celebrate Women's History Month, we're going to be launching our Your Hour, Her Power campaign. And everyone from individually to organizations can sign up to volunteer, donate. This is all about helping us drive the funding that we need to support our women. Without the funding, we're not in business. So we need people to support us during that campaign. People can also go online at dressforsuccess.org and they can donate. They can sign up to volunteer. As we start to bring more women back into our affiliate boutiques, we need volunteers to greet them, to suit them, to mentor them, to review their resumes, to coach them. The volunteers are key to our success. So there's monetary support, which can come in a number of ways. There's corporate support. We have tons of amazing corporate sponsors and we need more. And then there are volunteers on the ground that can sign up and come in. And we also, again, we need donations of clothing across the variety of spectrum, again, given the new workforce that we're navigating in today.
They are lucky to have you. I am so proud of you. You have a wonderful way of bringing people along. You clearly have a fantastic following. I'll share with everybody before we started. Michele was like, oh no, my phone is, my doorbell's ringing because a beautiful bouquet of flowers came from somebody else who yet was congratulating you. And your spirit is everything that we need in this world, and your competency and integrity is without peril. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much.
All the success in the world that you can handle for Dress for Success, and you can count us as a partner.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so thankful for being here. Thanks for having me, and we'll talk soon.
That sounds great. Good. Take care.
All right. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.